All right, you guys. Wanted to knock out another stream because, like I said, needed to let my phone charge for a little bit, so I wanted to get a quick stream in. Because, like I said, man, real good fight, real good fight, and I think Bud showed who he was. To me, Bud showed that he is the best fighter on the planet. Like I said, now we got the big fight coming up, and I think around maybe 3 weeks from now. So to me, as I said before, there's going to be pressure on Errol Spence to, you know, perform. Will he knock Danny Garcia out? Um, well, we'll just have to find out. But like I said, I had to take the time out to call some of the haters out because, like I said, it was just ridiculous. You know, a lot of people are making excuses about this fight, you know, and it's just absurd. As I said before, what's going on is, and I'm just gonna be the one to say it. Some of these, I'm saying some, not all, but some of these Errol Spence apologists is getting nervous, and probably after what they seen today, they probably get even more nervous. And I'm just keeping it. I'm just keeping it 100 because if that wasn't the case, why would some people rooting for Kell Brook to win this fight? And as I said before, I don't have nothing. Yeah, I saw that, and I got a big kick out of it. It was like I said, man. It was just hella funny, man. It was, Bud wiped that smirk off a lot of his haters' faces. Cause like I said, the hate for Bud is unreal. And people seem to forget that Bud is a black fighter who's married, or should I say, who has 5 children by the same black woman. Okay. And like I said before, the hatred that he's received over the past couple of years is absurd. Like I said, because you had certain media members that was basically pushing the agenda because they had issues with Bud because of it was just certain people in the media, they had issues with Bud because he wasn't granting certain interviews to certain people. And like I said before, that's where a lot of this started. But like I said today, Bud solidified himself as the pound for pound best fighter on the planet. For real. I think he fought well enough to where the right opponent, you could put him back on pay-per-view. So the thing is, what's next for Bud? You know, and it appears that Bob Arum wants to try to keep him. And it was so funny. Bob said just 3 years ago, he said, I won't make the same mistake with Bud that I made with Floyd Mayweather. And you did exactly with Bud that you did with Floyd Mayweather, where you always kept trying to put Bud on the back burner. Top Rank should have never tried to push Lomachenko ahead of Bud. It was a complete joke. It was a complete joke. It was disgusting. And it made me furious. And anybody with, like I said, anybody with common sense, any person that remotely knew anything about boxing knew that Lomachenko had no business being considered the pound for pound best fighter on the planet because nobody could logically explain why that dude was supposed to be number one, other than the fact that he had the protection, for the complexion. He pulled out his complexion card, his complexion protection card. Because, they keep saying that it's a race card with us. Well, he pulled out, his complexion protection card. And like I said, people knew it. And like I said, and for the people that was calling it out, people got mad and was trying to say, "Oh, you just don't like Lomachenko because he's not black." Well, no, I just don't like Lomachenko because he didn't deserve to have the stature that he had with his resume. You could name several undefeated fighters that's better than Lomachenko, but somehow they had a dude with one loss to a dude with double digit losses better than everybody that was out at the time. And it was just flat out insulting what Teddy Atlas did. It was just an insulting matter as far as anybody that ever laced him up. And you had ESPN pushing, pushing that, pushing that bullshit, and it was just fraudulent. So it's a lot of options out there for Bud if we could get the fights made. Like I said before, I just want these phone calls to start getting made so we can get the best fights out there. That's all I want. I just want the best fights to be made. And it was funny, Andre Ward made a very interesting point where he was talking about Errol Spence. He was saying, who knows? He said if I was in the position Errol Spence was in, I might not I might would do the same thing. Well, I just gotta keep it 100. I don't like how Errol Spence moving. I'm at the point I don't want to hear nothing from Teddy Atlas. Teddy Atlas just mad because the great white nope, which is Lomachenko, got beat up by Tiafimo Lopez. Yeah, J Dog, I think he has no choice now. I mean, he beat the best available guy that he could get in the ring. He legitimately mopped the floor with Kell Brook. He did it better than Errol Spence did it. He did it better than Triple G. I'm not trying to hear nothing that's coming out of Teddy Atlas white mouth. Okay, because Teddy Atlas just sound like a clown. I once respected his opinion, but Teddy Atlas been sounding real foolish right now. Like I said, Kell Brook wasn't damaged goods before the fight. Everybody was saying this was a real fight and saying that Bud could lose this fight. You had all these, like I said, you had all these so-called people that say they want to see Bud versus Errol Spence rooting against Bud to lose this fight. So you got to ask yourself what kind of people is the, what kind of people is them. But I knew Bud was gonna whoop. I knew Bud was gonna whoop Kell Brook. Well, he better get. I mean, well, Pratt, how much longer are we supposed to wait for Bud to start fighting people on the opposite side of the street? I mean, the man is 33. I mean, he's still, he's a young 33, but at the end of the day, how much longer do we have to wait? I don't feel like going through this again. We already went through this with Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, where it took just an astronomical amount of time for the fight. I don't want to wait till 2024 where they try, because at the end of the day, it's going to look like Errol Spence is trying to age Bud out. Because at the end of the day, Errol Spence still ain't looking too good in this situation. And Al Heyman ain't looking too good in this situation because, like I said, Al Heyman gonna have to get off his high horse because at the end of the day, keep talking about belts. Well, the WBC belt is losing its luster because due to the fact that Mauricio Solobon keep making inventing titles and making all these weight classes. Like, what the fuck is a bridge weight and a super cruiserweight? I mean, come on, man. He's taking the value out of the WBC belt. So at the end of the day, man, who cares about a title at the end of the day? You know, because once again, Manny Pacquiao, whether people like it or not, he holds the trump card, whichever direction he wants to go with that, WBA belt. Now, if he gives it up and then it's vacant, then next thing you know, You can have possibly Bud fight somebody like Sean Porter. You can order a mandatory showdown between Bud and or Sean Porter or somebody. But that's the problem. And the funny thing is, both of them. Here's my thing. I wouldn't wait on Manny Pacquiao. I wouldn't wait on Manny Pacquiao to decide what he wants to do, because at the end of the day, Manny Pacquiao appears to be the one who really, as of right now, holds the key to Errol Spence and Bud possibly being made. Basically, whoever fights Manny Pacquiao first, and if they beat Manny Pacquiao, then you have a dude talking about, well, if Bud gets him first and he wins, then he has two belts, and if Errol Spence fights Manny Pacquiao and wins, he has three belts. So then next thing you know, you have a long process and negotiating, hollering about who should get the lion's share of the money and all this kind of stuff. So then basically, then you have another roadblock. And if I was Bud, I wouldn't let Al Heyman or Errol Spence try to lowball me, because at the end of the day, Bud still could say, hey, I beat Kell Brook better than you did. So that's worth something. So like I said, I hope this don't play out to where this fight get pushed all the way back to 2024, when Bud is like 30, 36 or something like that, man, because I ain't trying to do that. I'm already hearing that Manny Pacquiao is going to fight Mikey Garcia. I heard that that fight is almost done. I heard that that fight I'm talking about that this fight is almost done, and that announcement will be coming soon. I think Manny Pacquiao is going to fight under the PBC banner, and then should Manny Pacquiao be successful against Mikey Garcia, which I think he will, he may fight Conor McGregor, or he may take just a light touch and then he's going to retire. Manny Pacquiao know that he's getting older. He's up there in age. Manny Pacquiao's had 70 fights. So that's a lot of fights. That's a lot of fights. So that's the thing. You got to ask yourself, do Manny want to keep doing this? Do Manny want to finish his career in two tough fights? Oh yeah, he gonna stop Mikey Garcia probably. If not, he gonna beat the hell out of him and he gonna knock him down multiple times. Well, that's what I'm saying. Why would Manny Pacquiao like take on a fight like that? Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, if he did it, you would have to give him all the credit in the world. But what happened to Bernard Hopkins? Bernard Hopkins' last couple of fights, he looked terrible. He looked terrible against Joe Smith Jr., where he got knocked out of the ring like I don't know, like like somebody that was sweating or something. You hit somebody and the sweat just come out, they face, and then he had a terrible outing versus Sergey Kovalov. So even though Bernard Hopkins had an excellent boxing career, first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best that ever did it, at middleweight, at the end of the day, he didn't look that good, his last couple of fights. So you have to ask yourself, do Manny Pacquiao want to go through that? Do he want to take on a very tough fight with Terrence Crawford and a very tough fight with Errol Spence at this point in his career? Like I said, he's 42 years old. I mean, he's not 42 yet, but he'll be 42 on December the 9th. And Manny Pacquiao then fought in a lot of wars. A lot of wear and tear on him. He already said that Keith Thurman fight took a lot out of him. He said that Keith Thurman hit him with punches that he said he felt for months. So you got to ask yourself, do Manny Pacquiao want to get in the ring with a hard puncher like Bud? Do he want to really go through that at his age? I'm just keeping it 100. Nah, Pacquiao. Nah, I mean Pacquiao. You can hit Pacquiao. You can hit Pacquiao. I mean he throws punches from weird angles. Like I said, at times it's kind of a lot of people struggle to get out of the way when Pacquiao is initiating his punches because he throw punches from weird angles. Like the only one that had a lot of success that was able to, maintain that was Floyd Mayweather. Now Marquez, what he did was he was willing to get hit to hit Manny Pacquiao. And like I said, one of the things with Manny Pacquiao wasn't a good fighter going backwards. He didn't fight good off the back foot, and due to the fact that Manny Pacquiao would extend his hands and and would fight off the front foot most of the time. Well, he never learned how to fight backwards. So Manny had some flaws. And like I said, one thing about Manny, if you get Manny fought certain type of styles too. One thing about Manny, he didn't like fighting big, quick physical fighters. So, like I said, styles make fights. Nah, Bud's chin. I think that thing with Bud and his chin. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's something that was overblown. I mean, he got rocked by, he got rocked by Gamboa, but he never went down. And then at the end of the day, the Mean Machine landed some punches. I think this thing about Bud not having no chin is overblown because uh, he took some shots from Kell Brook, and he never seemed to be on the verge of being hurt. And then he initiated some punishment back. Now the question is, who hits harder out of Errol Spence and Bud? Clearly to me, and I've heard everybody say this around the boxing realm, that Bud hits harder than Errol Spence. And after what I saw tonight, that's absolutely true. Like I said, I think people who have blown this Bud don't have a chin thing out of proportion. At the end of the day, um, you gonna get hit. I mean, to be honest with you, Sean Porter then got put on his ass more than Bud has. So I'm just keeping it 100. So I think that chin thing is just something that people just took took and blew way out of proportion. Because if that's the case, I seen Oscar, he got buzzed by Sugar Shane Mosley in that second fight, like in the last round. So I mean, everybody get rocked. Floyd got rocked by Sugar Shane Mosley, and I mean Floyd got rocked. So I just think people have blown this chin thing out of proportion. Yeah, exactly. Everybody get. I mean, for real, who haven't got hurt? Shit, shit. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think people, man, don't you remember the punch that Chop Curly hit Floyd with back in the day? Floyd looked like his eyes almost went in the back of his head, but he took it. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I think Bud and the chin thing is something that's been blown out of proportion. People make it look like Bud hit the canvas or something. Like he rocked him, Bud shook it off, and you know what I'm saying? And he ended up knocking Gamboa's ass out. Then yeah, Floyd got hit with a nasty like overhand right from my Donna. He went shit. That's what I'm saying. Sugar Shane Mosley, like I'm talking about Floyd. He staggered Floyd. I'm talking about, man, if he had hit Floyd with one more of them punches, he might have ended that fight. But Floyd did what he did best. He grabbed Sugar Shane. He held on to him long enough to where he can recover. Because I'm talking about, if you look at that fight closely, Floyd's knee almost touched the canvas. I mean, Sugar Shane Mosley came with one pow. And then Floyd, whew. So I mean, shit, who don't like that's what I'm saying. Who don't get hurt in fights? Yeah, that was like I said, the chin thing, that was just something because like I said, he got hit by Benavides. He got hit, you know what I'm saying? He got hit a couple of times. Shit, Amir Khan landed a couple of flush shots on Bud, towards the end, I think of round two. And Bud took those punches well. I just think, like I said, this is just some narrative that a lot of people created to try to dismiss Bud as, being a legit 147 pounder. But I keep telling you, everybody Bud has fought at 147, he stopped them. He stopped everybody. Now some people said that they thought that the stoppage was too early. Kell Brook didn't even know where he was. He said it himself. He said he didn't even know what hit him. Bud was damn. First of all, the ring held Kell Brook up. That's why they called it a knockdown. First of all, if Kell Brook would have kept getting hit, his ass would have went, and then Kell Brook started leaning down like he didn't want to get hit no more. So once again, I asked this question: How bad did you want to see Kell Brook get his ass whooped? Did y'all want to see Kell Brook get knocked through the ring? When a fighter start like leaning down, he don't want to get hit no more. And he's like he said he didn't know what hit him. I keep telling you, man, I don't think that's what I'm saying. Black reality TV, like what did they want to see Kell Brook get put in a coma? Like shit. Like what the like we all saw what he did. Like did I mean for real? I mean, did y'all want to see the man get put in a coma or something? Shit. Shit. I guess y'all wanted to see him end up like Adonis Stevenson. Yeah, Kell Brook was hurt really bad. Like I said before, man, did y'all want to see him get carried out on the stretcher like Adonis Stevenson? Because I definitely didn't want to see that. At the end of the day, the referee saw that Kell Brook was like Tony Weeks. I don't have no problem with the stoppage because Tony Weeks saw that Kell Brook was badly hurt. And his ass was about to go through the ring like, you know, Hassan Rahman. Yeah, he was about to shit. Kell Brook was about to get knocked through the damn ring. So, like, what was Tony Weeks supposed to do? Well, this is what I try to tell people. Like Bud, he computes what what his opponent is trying to do. Bud's ring IQ is like right there. Like I keep saying, with Bud, you do have a chance to land some shots. But then one thing about Bud, he'll take them shots and then he'll come right back. Like I said, sometimes it take for Bud to get hit before he get off. Like I said, the fight went exactly how I thought it would go. I told y'all that Kell Brook would have his moments, but I pretty much predicted that Bud would get him out of there in like 8 rounds. But actually, it went only 4 rounds. Yeah, Bud really bothers people when he switches from orthodox to southpaw. But he keeps saying, well, one thing I did like, Bud did not leave that fight in the hands of the judges, because I think Bud saw what happened in the previous fight with Maloney, and he was like, okay, now I'm gonna knock this dude out. Yeah, Bud took that jab away from him. Because Kell Brook, for him to get his combinations off, it start with his jab. Where some people, they throw combinations to set up their jab, and then Kell don't really know. Kell don't consistently go downstairs. Where Bud, he could just throw punches everywhere. Yeah, I'm gonna have Kenny on like maybe sometime next week. So we gonna talk about that. Well, first of all, this is what I don't understand. I keep trying to tell people it's that it's that wrestling background that Bud had. Bud is deceptively strong, just like Wilder is strong. Wilder may have like that small frame, but you know that's but Wilder's ripped up. Everybody was talking about Bud's legs. Everybody was talking about all these dudes was bigger than Bud, and Bud was gonna struggle against him. Bud then blew away everybody that then got in the ring with him. Oh yeah, appreciate that with Spider Loke. Yeah, appreciate that. I already told you, it's up to us it's up to us to make these fights happen. You know, we'll see what's going on with Errol Spence afterwards, and then we'll see what's going on with with Bud. Like I spoke to Bomac briefly last night. So Bomac, hit me back after I congratulated him. So um we'll try to get we'll try to get Bomac on the show. What y'all don't understand, Bud has grown into that 147 frame. He's grown into it. You heard all this stuff about I'm gonna rehydrate to 170 and all this stuff, and people was like, like I said, Kell Brook, he got a career as the next action star or something. That Kell Brook decide to do movies. Kell Brook will be the next, you know, black version of Martin Riggs if he chooses so. So I mean, I'm just saying, Kell Brook got a hell of a career as the next action star. So he might could be the European version of Jason Bourne or something. So I'm just keeping it 100. At the end of the day, I keep trying to tell y'all, muscles don't win you fights. Physiques don't win you fight. They come down to skills. And Bud had the skills that pay the bill. I wasn't worried about none of that shit when people was talking about Kell Brook looked massive and all that type of shit. Because like I said before, muscles don't win you fights. Yeah, European, you right. European Jason Bourne, the black version. So for real. Once again, you guys, muscles don't win you fights. Physiques don't win you fights. It's skills. It's the same. Don't you remember the classic line from Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee? when that white dude thought he was doing something when he picked up that board and hit it with his hand or something or kicked it, and Bruce Lee said boards don't hit back. So that's pretty much what went down. Shit, ain't nobody worried about no damn muscles. I used to hate when niggas would be thinking because they lift weights or something that automatically meant that they could whoop your ass and shit. I used to love beating the fuck out of them big buff motherfuckers. They'd be so buff they couldn't even move they arms. They were so stiff from all that muscle mass. Yep, boards don't hit back. So I'm just saying, dude was shook. Dude was shook after Bruce Lee said that. Yeah, that do not mean you guaranteed to win the fight because some dude sitting up there with all that muscle mass on him and shit. Shit, them bodybuilders, I'll fight them any day of the week. Cause like I said, how they gonna throw they shit? They gonna lose their breath trying to throw a punch. Yeah, them buff dudes don't even be having no hands. Man, them buff dudes, man, you should clamor to fight one of them, man. Them dudes don't be having no hands. Like I said, how you gonna throw a punch from all that muscle mass, man? Man, ask Black Reality TV. You could be swole, but then you got like if you too swole, you gonna lose your breath trying to throw punches from all that muscle mass, having a big ass roided up gigantic arms. So that's what people was tripping me up. Man, Kell Brook's physique. Man, Kell Brook's physique. So what? What about his physique? Shit. What about what about his physique? I don't lift when I go to the gym. I don't lift free weights no more, man. I don't lift free weights no more. Like I said, man, them dudes be sitting up there with them big ass gigantic fucking Popeye arms and them skinny ass legs, man. How they go like for real? Why would you be scared to fight one of them? Like I just jabbed the shit out of one of them dudes, man. By the time shit, they ain't gonna be able to get their heads up. Shit, I just jabbed the shit out of them. Yeah, and that's why AJ started to try to get a little bit leaner. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm surprised Evander Holyfield was able to fight at the level that he fought with that because Evander Holyfield had extreme muscle mass for a dude, that fought. So it was amazing he was able, to pull that off. Cause I mean Evander Holyfield was ripped up like that. He wasn't built like a boxer. He was built more like a sort of like a defensive end. He said he made it was well, if that's true, then that explains it. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, AJ always had stamina issues. But they tell you as a boxer, I could tell you right now, they do not like for boxers to use weights. They do not like for you to use free weights. And that's another thing Evander Holyfield used to do. Evander Holyfield used to do some bench pressing, but you're not supposed to do it, but it worked for him. I mean, Evander Holyfield had muscles everywhere. He even had muscles in that gigantic head of his. That's why if he head butted you, he could split you open. Ask Mike Tyson. Ask Hakeem Rahman. Well, one thing about George Foreman, if you watch that fight, George Foreman was just throwing a whole bunch of bolos. But I'm gonna tell you something. He was landing some of them punches on Muhammad Ali too. But then he punched himself out because he couldn't. He Muhammad Ali covered up against the ropes, and George Foreman he was landing some punches, but he wasn't hitting Muhammad Ali in his face, and he ended up punching himself out because George Foreman was a clubber. He was what you call a clubber. You know what I'm saying? His punches was very wide, but they was effective. Because I watched that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Actually, if you watch that fight with George Foreman, that wasn't a very good fight. It wasn't a good fight. I know people talk about the rope a dope, but that was like the best part of that fight. That was like the very best part of that fight because Muhammad Ali hardly did nothing. Every once in a while, he would throw a couple of punches, but most of the time, he was up against the ropes, and George Foreman was just throwing these punches, and he wasn't really like landing effectively, and he just got tired. And then Muhammad Ali threw that rally, knocked George Foreman, had that rally through those combinations. He knocked George Foreman down, and George Foreman was so tired he couldn't get up. It wasn't because he was hurt; he was so tired he couldn't get up because he punched himself out. But I watched that fight. What was it called? The Rumble in the Jungle or something. That fight was horrible. Wasn't a good fight at all. And I wish people would be honest about it. Wasn't a good fight at all. I'm just I'm just keeping it 100. Wasn't nothing exciting about a man like where he was backed up against the ropes for most of the fight and letting the man just throw punches and wasn't really trying to engage. But like I said, George Foreman got so tired to where Muhammad Ali unleashed that like quick rally and he threw those punches. He got him down, and that was it. End of the fight. You could tell that Timothy Bradley is letting himself go because he looked really pudgy in that suit. So Timothy Bradley, I don't think he's gonna fight again. But his interview with Fight Hype was just like hella funny versus Andre Ward. Andre Ward said some real shit in that interview. Shit, Tim Bradley is eating biscuits, he eating waffles, he eating pancakes, he eating all that shit. Tim Bradley is getting big. Yeah, Tim Bradley. Yeah, I think Tim Bradley is he letting himself go. Yeah, Andre Ward, he stay in shape. Andre Ward, he stay working out. But y'all need to go to the Fight Hype interview with Andre Ward. It's about 7 minutes, and he like broke down the whole situation with Bud. He broke down the politics with what's going on with Al Heyman and Bob Arum. Like I said, hopefully you guys we can just get this fight, man. Because like I said, I'm gonna start setting up my interviews and stuff so we can see what's next. I'm just keeping it 100, man. I just don't think Pac-Man, I don't think Manny Pacquiao, I think he gonna do whatever it takes to avoid Errol Spence and Bud. I ain't gonna lie to you. Tim Bradley had fat hanging off the back of his head. That's how you know what I'm saying. That's how you know that Tim Bradley is letting himself go. He had fat hanging off the back of his head. Oh, right on, man. Appreciate that. Shit, the only lifting Tim Bradley doing is lifting some Hillshire Farms in his mouth, cause that man ain't doing no type of working out. Look, man, I think a lot of people saw Bud's performance and was well, I'll fight him if the price is right. Yeah, that's the only kind of lifting Tim Bradley been doing is lifting his fork. You know what I'm saying? Lifting that bottle of A1 sauce to put on his steak, cause he definitely ain't been hitting no gym. The man had fat hanging off his head. Yeah, he was looking like Marcellus Wallace, man. He really was. I mean, I was like, damn, Tim, you got fat hanging off the back of your neck and your head. I was like, bruh, what you been eating? Well, you need to listen to the interview. You need to hear what Tim Bradley said about Manny Pacquiao. He kind of exposed Manny Pacquiao. He think that he got finessed, or he went to the PBC because he thought that he would get that rematch with Floyd. But instead, Al trying to get him to fight them young guns. What's up, D Hodges? Um, nah, for real. Tim Bradley kind of said that. He said, yeah, Manny Pacquiao, he really went to PBC because he thought he was gonna get a second fight with Floyd. And we all know Floyd ain't thinking about no Manny Pacquiao. So basically, Manny Pacquiao is maneuvering around the PBC because basically Al brought him there to possibly fight Errol Spence and fight a couple other guys. Okay, he passed the test. I guess you could say with Keith Thurman. You know, at the end of the day, whatever you think of the fight, like I said, I thought the fight was very close. I didn't watch that Keith Thurman fight like four times. I thought Keith Thurman did enough to get the fight, but at the end of the day, he didn't win the fight. And he did take advantage of the situation of Keith Thurman, who had fought off and on basically maybe three times in the last 4 years. So he was very inactive. He took advantage of the situation. So yeah, and keep in mind, he barely got past Keith Thurman if you even, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you want to get technical. And he said in that Keith Thurman fight, he said shit, he didn't like, Keith Thurman hit Manny Pacquiao with some serious shots. I think Keith Thurman fights Manny Pacquiao again. He wins the rematch going away. I think he even stops Manny Pacquiao. He said that them shots that he took from Keith Thurman had a long lasting effect on him. So that's why I asked you, do you really think he want to do this again? Y'all really think he want to y'all really think he want to get into a tough fight with Terrence Crawford? Y'all really think he want to get into a tough fight with Errol Spence at this point in his career at age 42? At the end of the day, your luck is eventually going to run out. I need to see Keith Thurman, and I need to see Keith Thurman soon. because a lot of people, I think Keith Thurman ain't the fighter that he was like 6 years ago. That's definitely, I definitely think Keith Thurman ain't the fighter he was 5, 6 years ago because he have had, legitimate injuries. So he isn't who he was like 5 years ago. But I still think he got enough in the tank where he can make some good fights. I think that Keith Thurman still could win. I like Keith Thurman's chances. Look, anybody that tell me Keith Thurman and Bud wouldn't be a hell of a fight, you know, you crazy. Anybody that tell me Keith Thurman and Errol Spence wouldn't be a hell of a fight, you crazy. Now, in both fights, he would probably be the underdog, but I still think Keith Thurman would give Bud a good fight, and I think he would also give Errol Spence a great fight. I don't see either one of those fights being blowouts, but you would have to make Bud the favorite versus Keith Thurman, and you would have to make Errol Spence the favorite. But I still think that Keith Thurman would do enough to make it a very competitive fight and difficult fight for both of them. That's what I'm saying. Keith Thurman is hella explosive. Now, yeah, we all know that Keith Thurman has a tendency of loading up sometimes, but at the end of the day, when he loads up, if they land, they could do some serious damage to you. Ask Manny Pacquiao because he felt the brunt of those loaded punches. Yeah, Keith Thurman for a minute, he was on some weirdo shit. He married that chick. You know what I'm saying? He was going to Nepal and shit. Looking for the knife, like on the Golden Child and shit. Can I have the knife? I want the knife. So I mean, for real, he was on some Golden Child shit. For a minute. But hopefully he didn't. Hopefully he didn't snapped out of it. Hopefully Keith Thurman found the knife. Let's just hope he don't bring it to the ring. But I hope he found, because he was, I hope he found the knife. Can I have the knife, please? So, I mean, so yeah, can I have the knife? We want the knife. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he, yeah, I can see Keith Thurman in the Golden Child part too. Yeah, I have stolen from my dear brother Nusi. Let's just hope he ain't eating that bloody oatmeal and shit. So I mean, I'm just saying though, but yeah, Keith Thurman, he was on some weird shit for a minute, man. Yeah, that was a classic though. Yeah, the Golden Child, yeah, that was a classic. Yeah, that was a classic. When that came out, 86. I think I was yeah, I was yeah, I was like I think 12 when that came. Yeah, Keith Thurman gonna be the star of Pootie Tang Part Two. With that. Nah, nah, nah. But well, you don't have to. I mean, The Golden Child is a classic movie. You don't have to be bored with that movie. Shit. Yeah, but I hope I do want to see Keith Thurman. I do want to see Keith Thurman come back, man. Oh yeah, you remember when Keith Thurman was? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Keith Thurman was just doing all kind of like I told you, man. He was like he really did go to the pole. He really did. He really he. Oh yeah. Hey, hey, shit. Eminem kind of like Pootie Tang. Eminem make a whole fucking record and don't say virtually nothing to just put together a bunch of meaningless wordplay, and then people will be saying, "Oh, this is the greatest rap I ever heard." so, so I mean, thanks, man. I remember when, yeah, I remember Pootie Tang, man. That motherfucker, he put out a record where he basically didn't say shit on there, and people was bopping their head like he had straight heat. Then dude talk about Pootie did it again. I was like, what? Yeah, he dropped a blank disc. Pootie. That motherfucker had an album where he didn't say nothing on there. People was bobbing their head like he had straight heat. Talking about Pootie did it again. Pootie. Hey, they was talking. Hey, he was selling. Hey, he was going platinum too. He was. Pootie was. That motherfucker made an album without saying nothing on there. That motherfucker was. That motherfucker was pushing units. They was straight. Hey, that shit. That whole scene was hella funny. That motherfucker played that shit. That motherfucker didn't have nothing on there, and everybody bobbing their head like, yeah, Pootie came with some heat. Oh, it's this. Oh, it went triple platinum. Hey, that was worse than mumble rap. Dude wasn't saying nothing. He just that motherfucker was going platinum, putting out air. That motherfucker- oh yeah, yeah. Wanda Sykes was in that. Wanda Sykes was in that movie playing a hoe, but she didn't like for people to call her a hoe. She said, just because I hang out on the hoe stroll don't mean I'm a hooker. Well, actually, that do make you a hooker because you don't go on the hoe stroll unless you hoeing. But nevertheless, y'all, I'll be back later on, man. Thanks for tapping in. And Wanda Sykes is a fucking joke. I'm out.